What's up, y'all? It's ASHTON Edwards from 30 Bound Kennels. This is my story.
See, now we don't give a fuck about nothing around this motherfucker. Yeah. Cause you get money, you ain't gotta worry about shit. You feel me? But if you ain't get no money, nigga,
The way I got introduced to the American Bully, my cousins used to breed pit bulls, and so when I got older, I wanted a pit bull myself. And I kept Googling pit bull, and American Bullies kept popping up, but I didn't know they was American Bullies, so I was buying all these dogs, and they was pit bulls. So then, I was in college, I ended up just linking up with some people in Fort Wayne, my homie Marcus Jones, Chris Benson, and they really put me on to what the American Bully was. And from then on there, I was able to get my first real American Bully, which was Cheddar, a little bit of Midwest monster blood, got him from a breeder out there in Portage. And then from there, I got Booby, who's I call her the matriarch of all this because I got all my dogs from her. You know, I got Brimm, I got Sin, I got Quagan, I got Four. I produced beautiful American Bullies with that dog, and she opened up a lot of doors for me. And when it comes to those dogs, man, I'm forever grateful. I say the American Bully saved my life.
Yeah, cause you got nigga like me out here, nigga. I'm on your ass, nigga. I don't play no games. Pull up in the all black Impala 4 deep. Me and my dog Creep, we got one finna put his ass to sleep. I don't think he see me coming when I'm dumping, hit him across the street. You know we get the stomping, get the running. Who that is the street sweeper?
I mean, I think if I had any tips for new breeders, it would just be understand what you want and how to market it. Whether you want to make it into a business or you want to make it into a dog man type deal. Because what I tell people all the time is you can run a business and be a successful dog man, but it's a lot of dog men who can't be successful businessmen. You got to be able to separate the two, you know, and really figure out what you want to do. It gets real big, you know, when you really think about the grand scheme of things. I mean, when I look at how I came up, because a lot of people will say I came up kind of quick, I kind of invested a lot into the advertising portion. You know, even though I didn't have any productions or any big name dogs, I was always at the shows. I was always rubbing elbows with some of the top breeders. I was always investing in photographs. Shout out to James Abba. Stuff like that goes a long way when you make those type of connections. Because when you do this whole keeping it real, cell phone pictures and blase blah, raw shots, like that sounds good to the peanut gallery, but you gotta look at where those people are at in life. You know what I mean? Are they telling you this advice to make sure that you reach success, or are they telling you this advice to keep you where they're at? You know, you gotta advertise your stuff in the best light. And you know, it wasn't always peaches and cream, man, and rainbows. It was a long time I didn't really see a lot of return when it came to the dogs. I was really just dumping money into it, spending all my money going to shows, spending all my money getting these pictures, and I wasn't really collecting stud fees or having any litters because I just kept getting all these males. And I think that's when the turning point for me happened with Cheddar. I realized that he just might not be the dog that could take me to the next level. You know, that's one of the things that I tell a lot of newer breeders when they're asking me opinions on their dogs or opinions on how to be successful. The first step is realization. You have to be able to realize if you have that dog and if you don't. Because you can do everything right, but if he's not that dog, it's all gonna be for nothing. So that's one of the best pieces of advice I could give to some of the newer breeders is just realize if the dog has it or if you need to just move on.
But that 223, that bitch gon' hit him from his head to his feet. That pussy nigga thought I want them other niggas, nah, I ain't sweet. They must ain't told you, bitch, I'm a gangster. Yes, sir, I am from the streets. I don't have problem with none of my enemies. They know what's up with me.
So I think the main focus that new breeders need to focus on is producing that dog. Everything I previously mentioned, all that is important. It's very high tier advice. But to utilize that advice to its fullest potential, you have to have that dog. So your main focus should be producing that dog, studying stock, getting some of the best blood, and not falling into that hype stud thing because these studs are hyped for a reason. They're producing, you know. My first female was Booby Miles. I got her from Reliance Bullies out there in Sacramento, California. I didn't want her. She was blue. I don't like blue dogs. I don't like tri dogs. I don't like brindle dogs, and she's all three wrapped in one. But it was just something about her. When I seen her, I knew I had to have that dog. So I got her shipped on my birthday 5 years ago, and it's really just been up from there, man. I took her to really what I consider some of the best producers in the game. I took her to Grimm, I took her to Big Red, took her to China Boy, took her to Golden Child, and every litter she was able to produce just something that was a household name. You know, we got Money Boo Boo with a Golden Child. When I bred her to China Boy, we got Goku, shout out to Andres Garcia in Texas. Big Red, we got Patron, we got Cobain, we got Four, we got Sin, you know, so many dogs. But of all my productions, I think the most prolific and most accomplished one would have to be Champion Steelo Brim.
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. Fuck 'em. Birds of a feather. They flock together, they make you a sucker. I don't fuck with nobody. If you ain't mob tied, then it's fuck you. I want numbers, some money. But if they get with this shit, I'ma flush them. I'm in South Carolina. I'm looking for Rennie. She know I'm some pimpin' though. She gotta be thick as hell. Big player, can't do nothing with no skinny hoe. Bought a Glock 47. That bitch look like a D. I hit it with both hands. I signed my own chicks.
How did I come up with the name Steelo Brim? It's funny to talk about because it fits so well, but it really had nothing to do with what people think it has something to do with. So his full name, Steelo Brim. I was on the phone with my boy Brunel, and we were kind of trying to figure out, like, bounce names off and try to just figure out what we gonna name him. And it kind of was a joke because his cousin thinks he's a blood. So we started off with the brim hat. And then we were watching Ridiculousness, you know, with Rob Dyrdek, you know, West Coast and all that. And the name Steelo Brim came up, and I was like, that's the name right there. Steelo Brim. He's the funniest dude on the show. He's the smoothest dude on the show. That's the name. And then it just so happened to fit, like Brim, Blue Grim. It kind of all, the stars all aligned in that moment, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I came up with his name, Steelo Brim. I think one of the funniest things is what a lot of people don't know is that Brim wasn't my first choice when he was born. He actually was very plain to me, just a blue dog. He was always big, but he was just a blue dog, you know. I was kind of looking for a try, so I tried to pawn Brim off to a couple people when he was like 3-4 weeks old, you know, and none of them bit, thankfully. The turning point, though, was when he was about 5.5, 6 weeks old. And they really got their shoulders set in their stance, and I started seeing, like, yo, this dog's top line is immaculate. He's got bare feet, he's got the shoulders. And I told myself I gotta hold this dog back. And I passed up 10K offers, 12K offers, even a 50K offer when he was like 6 months. And he just kept getting bigger and bigger. He didn't even look like he belonged in that litter. And, you know, we fast forward, I remember Nationals 2019. Everybody wanted me to put him in the show ring, but I had been going on this whole spiel for the whole year, like, I don't care about show dogs, I don't care about ribbons, blah, blah, blah. And then I just remember, I'm not gonna say his name because I don't wanna give him no clout, but it was a breeder I used to look up to. He told me I can't camp him out. And that's what made me say, all right, I gotta put this dog in the ring. I hit up every handler I knew a week before Nationals. I said, hey, you gotta handle this dog. And he went in his class, I think it was 25, 30 dogs, and he beat all of them, first place. First time in the ring, ABKC Nationals, and swept the competition. And that right there is when I knew I had something special. And then really ever since then, he been producing. I mean, everything he touches, he produces. You know it's a Brim kid from a mile away. He's been able to enhance everyone's yard. He's been able to change people's lives. People are getting 20, 30, 40K offers for his puppies. I don't know, man. I have to say he's probably gonna go down as one of the top producers ever. I think he's the best stud that the state of Indiana has ever seen. you know, and I'll stand on that. I'll stamp it. No other dog in Indiana has ever had a carbon footprint like that boy right there. So, yeah, that's my boy Steelo Brim right there. I think one of the worst things that a lot of new breeders do is they raise their prices too fast and they don't have the product to show for it. You know, a lot of these new guys, they're starting out $2,500, raising to $6,000 2 months later, and you don't even got no puppies on the ground. You know, Brimm started out at $1,500, and I just raised it in increments of 1,000, you know, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, etc. But that was spread out. You know, he's gonna be 4 in 2 months. I just knew he was something special when I started seeing those puppies, man. I always knew that he had the X factor, but I just needed the proof to be in the pudding for the people. And as his production started getting older, supply and demand started getting out of control. Like, I couldn't even imagine how busy Brimm would be right now if his stud credit was at like 2,000, you know? So it's at 7,500 now, and I'm still having people beating down my door trying to lock in, you know? So I think the best time to raise your stud's fee is when you have the productions to match the fee. And it even brings me to my stud management, because I work a full-time job, you know, work at the steel mill. And it can get tough, you know. That's where progesterone numbers and female etiquette comes into play. Because if you tell me your female's in heat on Monday and I don't hear from you till that following Thursday and you're like, hey, I need semen tomorrow, yo, man, he might be booked up for the week. Or I might be at work, you know, and my old lady's only 140 pounds, man. Like, she can't tug around a dog all the time, you know? So, I mean, it gets hectic, but I get it done. I think out of the hundreds of breedings Brimm has had, I've maybe missed 2 breedings just because of something I couldn't fulfill. But my clients, you know, shout out to them. They're very transparent with me, and we help each other, you know, get it done. And then thinking about how to bring a new stud to the scene, it's all about that marketing, man. You know, you can go multiple ways. Some people go the aggressive route. They start calling everybody out. That doesn't work for me, because it irritates me. It makes me just block you know, because nobody wants to be involved in that drama. Or you can just have your dog out there in the show ring if you want to go the confirmation route. Me, I went the wow factor route. So I got out there, I grinded. James Abel, they live all the way in the suburbs of Chicago. So that's a 3.5-hour drive for me, 4 hours with traffic. I was there every Sunday morning getting pictures out there in Glen Ellen. It was like routine at a point, because I needed that material to really push my dog to the public. And people eventually, you know, they start realizing like, hey, this man got something special, you know, I gotta go check him out. You know, and I'm always open for people to come and see the dog, you know, just as long as you're serious. This ain't a petting zoo, you know. You gotta pay the zoo to see their dogs, but I don't even think I really had that many pupbacks with them either. And I'm not against pupbacks, but the female kind of got to bring something to the table, you know. I tell people all the time, if you approach the stud owner asking for a pupback, 9 times out of 10 he's gonna say no. Because if you had anything he wanted, he would have came to you first. The only pupbacks I've done, I went to them, you know. I said, hey, I think Brimm really enhance your yard. Let's do something, let's work something out. So I'm not really against pupbacks, but I'm not gonna say I go out and I'm hunting for them, you know what I mean? And you know, the crazy thing about pupbacks is a lot of people think pupbacks are the reason the market is oversaturated the way it is, and I honestly don't think that, because there aren't a lot of pupbacks going on, at least not on a top tier level to where it would really affect the community. I honestly think what caused the oversaturation was COVID, you know? There's a lot of COVID breeders. I knew it was a turning point when I seen Bandman Kevo make a YouTube video about it, and he told everybody to buy a bully, told everybody to buy an exotic, told everybody to buy a Frenchie. And that's what everybody did. So, you know, back in COVID time, you got the PPP boys, you got the scammers, you got the dope boys. Us breeders, man, we really took advantage of that. We were able to sell dogs for whatever we wanted. 10K, they was buying it. 15K, they was buying it. 20K, they was buying it. I know some of my friends were selling dogs for 25, 30, easy. You know, and now we got that whole new generation, a new wave of breeders. They want to make their money back, you know, and they feel like they've invested in these $15,000, $20,000 dogs. They want to sell these dogs for $15,000, $20,000, and it just don't work like that. It's just too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Too many sellers, not enough buyers. So I'm telling you, I mean, if you have the financial backing to be able to breed for yourself and not have to sell puppies, this is gonna be the turning point for a lot of camps, whether they're here for the long run or whether they're gonna fade and rest, you know? And that's kind of why I expanded my yard from just bullies and I incorporated the French Bulldog.
Better stay in your lane, your little bitty broke ass. They hate that they left me. They regret what they said.
My piebald lilac and tan, I got her from Sam Liam, man. I had to really pry her out of his hands because he didn't want to sell her. And for good reason. She's a beautiful dog, great smash mug, great personality. She's the one that got me started in the Frenchie game. She's my first female. From her, I went all the way out to the West Coast. I got my West Coast Gotti line hustler daughter. Her name's Billy. Blue and tan, carrying cocoa so she can produce lilacs. You know, she's probably the biggest female I got, but she got a nice short back, nice smash mug, beautiful eyes. And I rocked with them two for a long time. They took forever, but they both produced me some beautiful puppies, man. The litters sold out. And that's when I got Amiri, which is my El Camino daughter. She's lilac and tan. She carries testable, which, you know, for anybody not in the Frenchie game, that means she can produce Isabellas. It's what us bully people would call lilac, but they call it Isabella, so I gotta respect the breed. Hopefully she comes in the heat probably in the next 6-7 months. Take her to Hamato Yoshi. Shout out Crayola Bulls. Yeah, it's looking bright, man. I'm hoping to get my Frenchie stud and really put Indiana on the map because there aren't a lot of good French Bulldogs out here. You know, shout out to the people that's doing it. I really ain't got much else to say, man. That's all I got, but that's my story. That's me. Again, Ashton Edwards, 30-pound Kennels, Fort Wayne, Indiana. With Structure and Color Collide, American Bullies, Rare Color French Bulldogs. Check it out.
Oh man, damn, they can't do nothing with them. Beefing with who? It ain't nothing with them. I'm hearing the slick shit, so nothing but big shit. You can get slumped with them. The Draco was